Bear with us. Welcome, Monday evening, 6 p.m. live here at Precision Golf. What a show we have in store for you. On the back of the Scottish Open and Rory McIlroy coming home in a blaze of glory, pipping Robert McIntyre to the win. We're going to try to recreate some shots that you will get some further insights, thankfully, to the data that TrackMan provides. Great week. What a tournament of the weekend.
Oh, just ridiculous, wasn't it? I mean, you look at McIntyre making birdie, that's one thing, but for McIlroy to finish birdie with two blooming tough holes, just nuts, ridiculous.
Yeah, and on the back of Minwoo Lee winning last year, another strong player that's gone on to big things this year on the PGA Tour. I've been tipping him for a few weeks, along with Ricky Fowler, and for big things. He had a really great players. It was all on the back of really the Scottish Open last year that really was the catalyst for him then going and getting a full playing privileges on the PGA Tour. Outside of Rory and Bob McIntyre, any standout performances from anyone this week that might look tasty for the Scottish?
Well, people who did well at the Scottish into the Open.
Yeah.
I think if we get, it all depends on if we get some tasty weather again. I mean, that made it such a fun watch, having seen them having to battle that. But I think looking at who did well, I think you've got to look at the creative players. I think you've got to look. I mean, Scheffler again up there. He kind of played a lot of links golf, but you look at the way he managed his game. Scheffler didn't seem too far off. Lowry playing well. Fleetwood playing well. The ball strikers, the creative ones are all trending. There are a good few in the mix, but it's meant to rain the first couple of days this week up there. That'll soften it down, take a bit of sting out the course. Does that move us back towards Mr. McIlroy again?
Yeah, I'm not. He's had a great
2 weeks
week.
in a row.
Yeah, I've had a great. He's had a great week. I'm not a massive Rory fan. I think in the wind, should I say? Let me quantify that. I'm not a massive Rory fan at open venues. I don't think he's a great wind player. You know, talked about it on commentary. Of course, he's from Ireland, but his game's built around the US. High flight, launches it. When he's playing those left to right winds, he looked uncomfortable. He looked like he could hit it 80 right, and he looked like he could hit a flat pull left on a left to righter. Right to lefter, less so. Yeah, less so. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. We're, as usual, taking your questions live. Lovely to have Niels Axelson along as usual. EBO001, yo. Nice to have you along. I don't think we've had EBO001 along.
Maybe we said yo. That's just one for the kids there.
Yeah, maybe we've had 002 on. Mark Griffin, Hatton could be a major threat, playing great at the moment. And Rory will probably choke again. Yeah, more than likely.
I think if he controls himself. I think we saw Saturday the end up just petulant at the end of the day, and then the three putt from nowhere on 18 again. I just don't think he's won big tournaments, but in a major, has he got the temperament to get him over the line? I don't know. Rory, to go back on your comment, I think Rory looked the most balanced I've seen him and the most in control I've seen him in a wind like that. I've never seen him play that well in a wind like that before. However, I agree, if you get a wind off the left, there are a lot of drives just starting to go off to the left. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know how windy it's meant to be this week. So,
yeah, I'm not sure of the forecast. We'll find out more. And, of course, what the forecast is on a Monday often changes at Links Championship by the Wednesday or the Thursday. I think, I mean, Rory's got everything sort of to prove right now, having not won since 2014 at Hoylake. It's a big week for him on the back of how well he's done recently. It's going to be fascinating to see how that evolves.
I hope the wind's up, because I thought I don't watch a lot of the golf simply because I don't find it that interesting. But links golf to me is so different. You've got so many different shot types. You've got to see the players hitting shots that they would never hit before, as we're going to look at in a moment. And it's not just golf by numbers anymore. Suddenly you've got to have feel, you've got to have creativity, you've got to be able to flight it, you've got to just accept that you might just not be able to reach something, or suddenly that it's so far downwind that you're hitting it 100 yards past where you normally hit it to. I think it's fascinating stuff.
Someone that did catch my eye, Tom Kim, young guy. Needs a bit of maturity. Maybe I think that what was going on the 18th green, I looked today, that's cost him a couple of $100,000 that. What that might look like at the end of the year, there was a couple of rulings on the back nine that maybe he should know. And the fact that he didn't know, had to call a ref, didn't get on with it. I know a lot of money up for grabs.
I think they default to the ref straight away now. I don't think any of them want anything to do with making a decision about a ruling.
100%. I think the ball moving on. It just felt like a bit. It was a bit clunky, you know. And I think that a bit of maturity. I think obviously you push that aside a couple of years down the road. But a fantastic game. You know, for someone so young, playing a lot of great shots under those conditions, under that pressure. I think he's a real prospect. So we've got lots of comments coming in. Great to have you all firing in. 001, it's Ebo. Less informed the fact that you've just taken the 001 off there, Ebo, but great. You can count on Rory pooping the bed when it matters. Lovely. David Brett, lovely to have you along, David. I love Turtle 313. Good to see the Morecambe and Wides. Which one's Morecambe? Which one is Wise?
Well,
that is the biggest one.
I've got a glass on as well. I can do both.
Yeah, true. Cam Smith to repeat. Yeah, I mean, goody. I mean, a great putter, great driver. You know, new light setup or just the new cameras showing its chops. Well, drums maestro James has gone all in with new camera. I think we're liking the blurred background and the headshot.
No lights on at all.
No lights on at all, in fact. No lights on at all.
Just the trousers.
Just the trousers.
Got to get that one in before anyone else
does. We'll come on to those later as well. Peter Cantor, my pet hate from commentators. US players can't play in the wind. That used to be the case.
I think we've seen them win too many Opens to say that,
Niels Axelsson couldn't help feeling for McIntyre just missing a victory second week in a row.
Agreed.
Almost duplicating the home favourite coming from behind story from Denmark. I mean, when he walked off the 18th green and someone came up to him and shook his hand, he said it's not done yet. I think he probably said that with only 20% amount of belief that it wasn't done. I think 80% of him thought too tough.
You're thinking playoff at worst.
At worst,
Birdie one of the last two, even Rory. But
100%. Two strong holes to finish, and to see.
I think
Rory,
you're saying hardest hole on tour 18 this year.
Yeah, absolutely. To see Rory pull that out. I mean, even though he's just done it himself.
Well,
I mean, if you pick the last 50 players. I can't imagine I'd imagine they were the only two that would have birdied it. So for him to think that Rory's going to pull that off as well would have been shocking. To think that was going to be the case. Complete generalisation, and clearly never been to Texas. Yes, absolutely.
In Florida.
Exactly. That was funny when I used to go down to Australia. They always thought we played in the wind because we were an island and with links golf. And actually, Australia was far windier than here because it is all of the golf courses. Line share.
It's also an island. It's just a large one.
Just larger one. Yeah. Denny Smith, hey guys, any news on the Titleist irons release?
Not that we can talk about, but August embargo date. I believe it's 3rd of August. So, as of the date we're allowed to, we'll talk about them. But, I've seen them though.
They look amazing.
Allegedly, they look great. Yeah.
I don't need to hear that because I love my Titleist irons. I've only used them about 4 times. Denny Smith, hey guys. So David Brett, views on the new par 3 at Royal Liverpool. Looks flush what? I'm none the wiser. Don't know about it.
Interesting one. I think if the wind gets up, I think it's going to be a very interesting hole.
This is the completely new hole that they built.
They're playing as the 17th. I don't know how fond of it the members are. But I believe I think it's a much tougher hole. And I think if the wind gets up, it's a sort of plinth green. If someone goes long, they're in the ocean pretty much. It's a massive drop off at the back of the green.
Got it.
Completely new construction. I think we'll know at the end of this week whether it's a good change or not. Certainly the other one was a bit bland for an Open Championship 17th hole, but the new one is far from bland.
Be interesting to see if it is bad, how quickly they backpedal and dump it for the next time around, because they'll have spent fortunes on recreating a new hole, and if the criticism comes back that it's not good, that's going to be whoever does. Yeah. So hopefully for them,
Eva
it all
McKenzie
goes,
do all the Open Championship courses. And I think on face value, it's a good par 3.
Yeah.
It's just until we see an Open there, we don't know for those guys whether it's how it's going to play, and if the wind gets up, is it? It's pretty hard as far as I understand. If that wind blows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Griffin, be next year, I would think 2-year cycle. On the, is he referring to?
Probably the tight signs. No, it is this year.
Yeah. Okay. Ebo, Bob's face when McIlroy birdied the 17th. Yeah.
A look of inevitability about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I Love Turtle. Shout out for Lynn Grant, first LPGA win.
She's had one hell of a year and a half, hasn't she? A couple of years.
Yeah. Brilliant
swing. Brilliant play.
There really feels like such a wide variety of golfers coming through on the ladies' tour, isn't it? Both on this side and the other side. Super young girls, girls that are experienced, doing well.
Nelly winning in Centurion.
Question for you:
tough conditions.
Where do you put Charlie Hull? Because she's been out there for so long. Where do you see her in her career now? I mean, she's had a good second place last week. Has she underachieved so far, or has she overachieved, or is she on the performance graph that maybe we expect her to be on?
I think there are a couple of elements. I think one is she came out so hot at Solheim Cup and just outperformed what everyone expected her to maybe do. And then I think the expectation gets so high that you're going to go, why is she not winning? Why is she not winning more? When she's on, she's absolutely unbelievably strong, and she goes for everything. I think with her now just actually getting a diagnosis, I think it's ADHD, I think she might be the most dangerous she's ever been now, because she understands herself better now. And so knowing how to manage herself, manage her ups and downs, her levels, I think just having something that, you know, right, okay, I know what I'm dealing with now. I think she's always had that sort of slightly jumpy kind of, and she's up, down, all around kind of, so I think knowing that, I think she's going to become a much better, I think she's going to mature into a consistent performer now, because she knows what she's dealing with. I think. Yeah,
good comments. Me personally, I think she's a massive underachiever. I think right now she's playing great golf. Let's hope that keeps pushing on. I feel like she came out so hot. It doesn't feel like. I mean, again, the diagnosis says obviously a lot to do with what's going on in the background that we don't know about. But I think those around her, you would have thought, gathered her up and sort of pointed her in the right direction. Again, what the conditions like, don't know. But it feels like with the right guidance in her team, it feels like she should be doing more. That being said, I think she's got 10 years easy, comfortable in front of her, hasn't she?
Next 4 or 5 could be.
Could be a real.
Hopefully we see the potential.
Well, look, there's more questions coming in, and we will keep firing through those. But we'd like to start thwacking, because we're not a massive fan of just talking heads. We like to do stuff here.
And we've now got such an interesting subject. We don't have Renaissance or Hoylake on the simulator. We do have some of the other open courses. We have Birkdale. So we've picked an 18th hole, which is not very easy.
So the agenda here is to recreate Rory's shot and to show you how influential wind is on the golf ball, and how maybe a lot of you guys might underestimate the wind or overestimate the wind. How spin rates, strikes, all of a sudden impact the performance of the golf ball. And we thought it would be fantastic that Simon and I would wield a few axes and see if we can hit this green from 200 yards. I mean, whoever thought this was a good idea wasn't shooting. It was your idea, wasn't it?
Right,
we were texting last night.
But
he was texting me last night, just putting him in shot there. I'm just seeing the director in the background. So we're just going to hit a few. So first up, we've got 200 yards. We're going to play it as no wind.
No wind.
No wind. That's 200 the flag. And I think this is quite, I talk about this a lot with clients of mine, and I'm sure you talk about it with people that come in. Even that, especially at 200, and especially at links, it might be 200, but that is certainly not where we're trying to pitch it. With links golf, we might be pitching this at a 190 shot. 192 would probably be the number. So even though you've zapped it at 200, or Trackman's done that for us, 192 is probably not the number. So What's your choice of weapon?
5-iron.
5-iron. Like
5-iron,
it.
yeah.
Like it. Right.
Yeah.
Gloves are on.
Gloves,
It's all
gloves
getting
on, they're not
serious.
off, they're going back on. Yeah.
Let me tell you, there won't be much competitiveness in this next half an hour, people.
But I thought it'd be. We did a test a couple of years back about wind and how much it actually affects things. And I think, as you said, I think people underestimate massively how much the wind affects golf balls. So I'll hit one flat conditions, you hit on flat conditions, and then we'll whip the wind up to 22 miles an hour, which is what Rory had yesterday, and see. So
just to be clear, I'm just on the back of puppy duties. I've not hit any balls. I assume you've hit what 200-300 this afternoon?
something like that.
Practice,
Yeah.
warm
Between
up.
fittings,
I just felt like
wash
we
that through,
just needed to get that in there just before signing.
I've had to test it with work. At least,
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, and then followed it up with another 50. Yeah, got it.
Right, so it should just be a not quite 100% 5-iron. Slightly chunky.
Pull draw.
Slightly chunky. Yeah, low back didn't work too well there.
Pull draw.
Yeah.
What?
Distance is good.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it feels like you're clutching at straws there. The distance is good there.
Absolutely. I know I'm going to get abused by you.
Oh, you're going to have another go, eh?
I can do. We might as well.
Oh,
we might as well.
Fine.
I'll give you two.
No,
We'll do two.
3 or 4 good ones.
I
3 or
you
4
just
shots
do.
and find a good one. No,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
That was a little bit better.
There you go. Just
So
going back.
links golf, looking to
When
pitch
that
it
comes
just
up-
short.
Oh, look at that.
All right.
Look at that.
There you go. World Second Shot Championships would be brilliant at.
Literally nothing all day. How many? Come on, how many have you hit?
About 30.
I knew you would have done. He texted me last night and he said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll play this shot. Came straight in and started practicing it. Come on, Stuart.
I like the self-talk going on there. Very silent, isn't it? Yeah. Oh. God, it doesn't need a second shot.
Stay. Oh, no, I missed
But
the
actually,
quick.
that goes to show our different flights,
Yes.
where I'm a higher spin shot, so even on these conditions, we set them to medium rather than firm, but I can pitch it there and hold it.
Absolutely.
Yours comes in flatter and chases on it, so you've got to play a little bit more of the ground conditions than I do.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny because wind has never really worried me because I am that side of the spin.
Yeah.
I almost enjoy more wind than less wind because it plays into my hands a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Mark, we will answer that exact question very shortly.
All right.
Which is the question about how much to allow for 1 or 2 miles an hour.
So are we now
hitting another one? We're going to ramp it up.
Yeah, let's
Ramp
turn
up.
that wind up. Let's turn that wind up.
We can turn that wind up to, it's going to be dead into us. And we can turn it up to 22, 23 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
So
I like this. Do you know what? When we were, I was doing a bit on Sky Sports.
in case you haven't heard.
When we were doing the Tea Times Tip Show with Nick, Annabelle, and Andy Coltart, there was a bit on there where we playing one of the par fives at Birkdale, and without Andy knowing, they turned the wind right up, and he hit a driver, and he couldn't reach the fairway, and he didn't know, and he thought he had hit it well. He hit that solid, and he was going, "I hit that solid," and why has it gone nowhere? No one told him that we ramped the wind up. Yeah.
So, seeing as you've hit last, if you hit the 5-iron again,
Yeah.
just to show where, straight out where it gets to.
Yeah.
So you've got 22 miles an hour into, which is pretty strong.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what.
So he's gone, loves it.
I'll tell you what, I've hit two of the
Look at
best
that thing's
5-irons
there.
that is.
Now up to the top, and now that is just coming straight down. So that has finished. So your last one went 210.
Yeah.
That one's gone 170.
I don't like this game.
No. But spin the same, just under 4,100. Ball speed, give or take the same. And you've got a 40-odd yard difference. So in answer to Mark Griffin's question, the formula is for every mile an hour into wind, you have to play for 2 yards more. So essentially, if you've got a, as we're playing a 200-yard shot and it's 22 kilometers an hour, or miles an hour, sorry, into, we've got to play 44 yards. So it's got to be a 244-yard shot, or very, very similar to. Downwind, from a carry point of view, it's for every mile an hour downwind, it's 1 yard extra carry. Now, obviously, a run out extra, but the carry is basically every mile an hour downwind is how far extra it'll carry, and every mile an hour into wind, double it, and that's how much of an adjustment.
And I think this is a huge, huge, huge area of conversation, because when you start to talk about how you go about choosing your golf clubs, when you laser the flag, and then how much you anticipate the wind, it could be only 5 miles an hour feels nothing. Now, if you get yourself on Amazon, buy yourself a goniometer.
Beg your pardon?
A goniometer. It reads the wind, and what it is, it's on tour. It's a little fan.
Oh, I'm very childish.
You hold it up, and it's spin. I just see
one of those.
My profession.
Is that what it's really called?
Goniometer. Gonio meter. Goniometer.
Oh.
And you hold it up in the wind, and if you've got one, and you've ever tried it, you hold it up in the wind, and the digital display at the bottom will tell you this wind speed. And you could be standing there on a calm day, and it will go 3, 8, 4, 9, 5, 2, 8. It's like, how you ever hit it close to the flag? It's like, well, how does that work? But when you stand there and you feel 5 miles an hour wind, and that is 10 yards in the air, you all of a sudden might work out why the 5 mile an hour wind. Oh no!
It's a great comment.
There's a comment coming.
Mr. Turtle, that's great.
Turtle, I
hope it clears up soon, Stuart.
Thank you very much. Comments a little bit on my other stuff. I don't like him. Yeah. Anyway, no, just joking. But when you suddenly feel what 5 miles an hour wind, the 5 mile an hour wind feels like, you then suddenly realize, oh crikey, that's what 10 yards is.
A club.
Yeah.
That's what people go, oh, it's a club into, a club down.
It's like,
but basically by going, well, that's just a complete guess. We've all done it. We still do it. But
but that goniometer is a really good way of getting a good insight into how much the wind is blowing, and also how much, now that you understand it, will affect your golf ball.
Yeah, and a couple of comments. Will TrackMan show the capability of showing the effect on shot shape? It will. We just absolutely pured a couple of those.
Yeah.
It will. I mean, it'll exaggerate shot shape. So any draw spin, cut spin, it's gonna, it's gonna throw it miles more offline.
But when you hit it and swing it as pure as Morecambe and Wise.
Yeah. Mind you, we now got the ultimate test, and we've got to go.
Yeah, longer weapon. Yeah, longer weapon.
So can you use? I believe Ebo's saying, can you use it in comps? I doubt it.
Oh no, you can't. No, you can. No, goniometer. You can use it. You can use it on the practice ground and on the before, first tee before you've teed off, but thereafter it's back in the bag.
I mean, the other one is, if you've got any kind of weather app on your phone, you're going to get an idea of what the gusts are, what the base wind speed is. If you know the base wind speed, you can then say, right, I know on average today it's going to be a 5 mile an hour, 10 mile an hour,
the thing,
50 mile an hour
the thing I would
you
say,
can use it as a base.
100%. The thing that I'd say,
it's better than no knowledge.
100%. Most people don't appreciate how strong a wind is. I think people don't appreciate what 5 miles an hour is. People don't appreciate what 20 mile an hour wind is. So Mark Griffin, also onto the wind, will exaggerate the shot. Arcos is excellent at giving insight on the wind effect with its virtual caddy function, not allowed in comp but good for casual rounds. Didn't know that. Mark Griffin, zoom out, his head is disappearing of the screen, it's expanding exponentially. That's all right. Is it?
So just we're hitting good shots, I think.
Oh, right.
I think it's a.
Okay.
I believe it's a comment
is he
on
having a little
puff?
Is he having a little puff? Is he? Okay, Mark. All right. Okay. All right.
So I guess there are going to be two bits to this. One is now going up to 2-iron.
Yes.
So I'm going up to 2-iron.
Yes.
I'm not getting a head cover off for this.
Well, this is. I haven't got a 2-iron. I can use your 2-iron.
That wasn't a pop at you, actually.
Yes, it was.
So I'm going to hit one normally. I think then I think we talk about the shot that Rory hit and how you hit the flat stinger.
Love it.
Right.
Love it.
Oh, it's left a little bit, but it's nutted. So there's that exaggeration on shot shape.
Yeah.
But that's comfortably more, like we say, three and a half clubs more than that. Hit really well. That's gone 196, but that's a 230-yard club for me.
Yes.
So, give me another go. Do you want to hit the low one? I'll hit the
No. You need to find a green.
I need to find a green. Okay.
You need to find a green. You have another go.
Fair. We'll go a bit lower with this one. There we go.
Trapped. Oh no! Oh no! I mean, I feel really.
I like the shot. I enjoyed the shot.
I feel really gutted.
I enjoyed the
you.
shot there.
I mean, look, there is going to be no smugness if I just whip this straight on the green.
It's all right. You haven't got a 2 on.
Oh dear. Gotta love it, haven't you? Love the game. Morecambe and Wise, I can't believe that. It's disgusting.
Well out. You know, if you catch it slightly behind the ball, you get no spin and it goes quite well. That's so annoying. That's so annoying. What about that low stinger?
Jay, did we get that? Did we get that on the camera?
What, the fat?
We certainly did.
No,
I can
it's just high
you can replay the shot as well on Trackman if you want.
Oh, please replay the shot. Let's see it again.
A bit late now.
A bit late now. The low stinger.
But it goes to show, you know, that one where how much more club you've got to hit.
Yeah.
You know, when you get that kind of amount of wind, it's, you know, just looking at, you know, McIntyre hitting you've got a 440-yard finishing hole. They've hit driver. Okay, he leaked it a bit, but he's hit a little fairway wood in there. And even Rory, okay, 3-iron would have been the perfect club, but Rory driver 3-iron.
Yeah.
Now he'd normally be hitting to 195, 200 they had. He'd been hitting a 6 or 7-iron, and he's gone with a cutty 2-iron, basically.
I mean, I would think that they were playing closer to a 30-mile-an-hour wind, 35.
Well, they had on the tee. It was gusting 20. It was 23, 22,
Right.
23
Right,
as
okay.
a sort of solid breeze, but probably gusting up a little bit more. Didn't think I'd put us any more than that.
No, I think that's enough. So the low stinger.
Yeah. So technique-wise,
Yeah. I think it's.
and seeing it's Open Championship week as well, which we hope to have to see them hitting that flat shot. I mean, Tiger was just, you know, renowned for it. That was his show. That was his sort of showpiece, wasn't it? That ripper that came out flat and normally used as a fairway finder.
Yeah.
But you know, invaluable around links course.
I think that ultimately people, when they see low stinger, they immediately think, I've got to hit more down, which means I've got to have more divot. Ultimately, all we're trying to do is create an environment of impact where we've got less loft on the golf club.
Yeah.
And that does not mean having a bigger divot or hitting more down. Delivering less dynamic loft can be done in a number of ways. Hitting down on it is the one that everybody knows. Creating more shaft lean is the one that the better player would do without altering a lot of the orientation of the golf swing. It's not necessarily that easy. And when you
it's a high skill shot.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, absolutely. And when I was caddying for Nick and played at the 2014 or 15 Dunhill, and we were on the first tee, and this was our 10th hole, and we were playing with Justin Walters, and he played this shot off the tee, this low off the first, just this low sort of knuckly 2-iron. It was pumping, and the gap between the tee and the divot was at least the length of my hand.
Right. Yeah.
And it was so thin, it was just like a bruise, which just shows you how low on the face he hit it and how late the bottom of the golf swing was.
Yeah.
Whereas when people, and it came out like no higher than 6 feet. When you think about how people have historically thought about hitting low shots, it's been ball back in the stance and hit down on it massively. And I thought that was quite funny. Anecdotally, Tiger Woods, whether he was or not, playing with Scotty Scheffler's head about when he's playing well, not taking any divot, and not to go on. But I remember James Heath very good amateur golfer, played on tour, and he talked about when he was working with Faldo, he was on the range at Lake Nona and Faldo was practicing hitting balls for the best part of an hour. Jay walked over to the area where Faldo was practicing and there was no divots. And I think when you're talking about controlling the bottom of the swing and still being able to change the loft angle of the club face, the difference that creates on the spin to be able to create less dynamic loft but not suddenly hit down on it, which then picks the spin rate back up. Now all of a sudden you've got two ingredients where you've got less low angle of attack, low loft and a low angle of attack. Those two things into the wind are like, you know, hot knife through butter. The thing just goes forward. So
it's not just about low launch.
No, absolutely right. So I think from a technical standpoint, it's about delivering less dynamic loft, and the only way you can really do that is A, look at the ball flight, but B, if you get yourself on grass and you're making the ball launch lower and not taking a divot, you'll be doing it right. And I think if you know, it's difficult in this country, but if you're up and around that sort of area, there's a few grass ranges, bigger courses. If you're practicing off of grass and you can get the ball to launch low and not take a divot, that's what you need to be feeling for a low ball flight. So, should we hit another one? Low stinger.
So, what was it? I'm sure there was a comment I was seeing. Do we buy the premise of ball Mark Griffin Quinn, do we buy the premise of ball manufacturers saying that aerodynamics make the wind effect less? I think it does to an extent. They are definitely, the balls are more stable. I think the amount that it can peak up if you miss-hit it is less, but if you put side spin on it, the wind doesn't know what kind of golf ball it is. So it's just going to go left to right or right to left.
Absolutely. So for you, how you play it, I mean, look, how would you set up to this with trying to hit a low?
I mean, if it was this kind of wind, if it was a really heavy kind of wind, the worst thing you can do is hit it hard. If you hit it hard, you put more action on it, you're likely to get the spin coming up, and you're likely to hit it higher. So I would always put the ball back in my stance a little bit because I'm still trying to create a little bit more shaft lean to try to de-loft it, just try and naturally take that down a bit. But not hugely. It's not going to be, for example, I wouldn't go, if that's a normal ball position, I'm not going to stick it back there.
No.
If that's normal ball position there, it's back a little bit, maybe a ball max.
And are you feeling anything different with your upper body through the shot?
A little bit, yeah. As you say, it's not. I'm not trying to kind of hack down and deal off that way, but you've got to keep the shaft travelling. You've got to, because one of the things, if you put the ball back, I also open the face a little bit, because if you put the ball back, you're catching it earlier in the arc, and then actually you're catching more from the inside. So it's where often, especially having a left miss, I'll overdraw it, which I don't want to do. So the two factors for me are, or a few factors for me are, ball a little further back, naturally set up a little hands forward, and let the face stay a little bit open, and I'm trying to stay shallow and keep the handle ahead the whole way through. And make solid contact. Quality strike huge into the wind. So it's only about 7 things.
Apart from that, it seems very, very simple.
But I've always enjoyed wind shots. I've always loved playing in wind. So let's move it back a little bit. Let's see how low we can sting this.
Ooh, is it going to turn back?
Should do.
Is it going to turn back?
Yeah.
Is it? It sounded confident. It sounded. Yeah. I mean that's not a bad shot. That. Yeah.
Only took about 7 goes though, didn't it?
No. Well, I didn't want to bring that in.
Get my retaliation.
I mean,
first.
I'm known as a sort of one take wonder. You know what I mean?
But I think that's down at 2,500 revs of spin. So that's got the spin down to driver level.
Interesting. My shot was 2-3. Did you see that?
Yes, because you caught it an inch behind it.
I hit it half the face. Well, I'm slightly.
So it's a harder shot for you with this club.
Yeah.
Because the center of gravity is lower and it's trying to kick it up, whereas this club is trying to hit it that way.
Yeah.
That's why. I'd always put one of these in the bag. I'd play one anyway.
Yeah. Well, on that note, then I'll play my 4-iron.
Yeah.
Because I'm slightly different. I try to visualize this as a long putt.
Okay.
So I try to get the blade going back, feeling like it's a little bit more hooded in my golf swing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I just try to dead arm it like a long putt which makes me feel like I've created less dynamic loft. And then when I collect it, sweep it, feel like I hit it from the side of the golf ball, it feels like it comes out a bit more knuckly.
Yeah. And I guess both of those are where there's that sort of front of a sawn off finish, because it's trying to keep the loft off through the ball.
Yeah, that's right. And because of course there's, and Nick and Andy were talking about the weekend, Rich Beamer actually, the more you hit down, the more it opens the face up, and really all we're trying to do is produce more or less dynamic loft, and ultimately you don't need to just hit down to create that. You can actually start to change that a little bit more going back. Again, it's a different way of playing it, but if you're going to practice dropping it back and chopping down on it, well, why don't you just practice it a different way as well?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Equally you can. So
thank you, Niels, by the way.
Sorry, what was that?
Niels said what a shot.
Nice shot. Yeah. So I'm just going to feel like it's a bit more shut down here, and then I'm going to feel like I'm just going to hold it a little bit more through strike.
So ripper as well.
Is that going to turn back?
Strikes, just stayed there. But
just stayed there. Yeah, I mean, I thumped that. That was. Can I have one more go at that?
Yeah. You should see where he spins. So, obviously, forearm more loft, he's got 3/4 on spin, but actually that's still low spin for a forearm.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite like that. That was quite good, that. Right. There we go.
That sounded better.
There we go. Oh.
Only had a 2-on.
If only I had a 2-on.
Or 3-on.
But it's not done too badly, though, is it? Really,
again,
from a
spin.
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah.
So still, I'd say considering the loft difference, this is at 18, 19 degrees, and that's about 23.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like I did it that much. It felt like I did it a bit, but it's certainly a slightly different way of trying to hit a low shot rather than dropping it back and just trying to hit it.
Yeah, and then you're relying so much more on using the turf to pinch it against, and then the moment you do that, you've got another element to bring in, which is the ball interacting with the turf and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And there's nothing worse than that feeling of just driving it into the turf, and it feels like it's spinning up and all that nastiness.
They're getting nasty now. David Brett, can we see some drives into a 30-mile-an-hour wind?
Well, we can do if you want.
Like.
Yeah.
Well, it's been requested, hasn't it?
Well, let's do it.
Right.
Let's do it. Am I to be excused for 3 seconds to go and get my driver?
Yeah, I'm just going to let me just put it on let's put it on one of the par 5s. Back 9, par 5, 15, there we go. Hopefully be able to reach the fairway. I might have picked a horrible hole. Grab my driver. The new one's head hasn't arrived yet, so it's the old girl still in the bag. So switch the wind direction, because downwind. We can do downwind and into wind. Just one to feel good about ourselves, and the other to feel horrible about ourselves. Right, so we've got a 30. You wanted 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Oh, but
That's what the request was.
Oh, that's what.
No.
Who invited David?
He does play on links course himself.
I know Prince's, right? I helped David along the way with his game. Nice to see you here, David. I'm not sure. And that flashed on you being here now. There we go.
So interesting. If you were hitting a driver into wind, relative to the iron side of things, would you do a similar thing, or would you just stay with the driver as normal and just accept it?
I with driver, I don't really do that much different. If anything, I'd pop it a little bit more in forwards in my stance, so I can get a bit more up on it.
Yeah.
Aim a bit more right, and then get a bit more of a knuckleball down there.
Because I think with driver, if the spin's low anyway, it's going to go through the most of the wind. I think people, and I'm the victim of this myself. Years back, you had to flight it low because the ball spun more. Now the ball spins a lot less. You don't have to do anywhere near as much with ball flight.
Should we see a couple of drives down here before we do this? Because this only means something without the wind.
Okay. Yeah.
Should we do that? If that's okay with you, David. So just lure ourselves into a full sense of security, hitting a couple of nice ones down here. Lovely to see so much interaction,
Zero
chaps
wind.
and ladies. Thanks so much for being here and asking the questions. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And if there's anything that you want us to cover tonight or futures, feel free to drop them in the comments below.
So zero wind. Right out the heel, gone nowhere.
And back in the trap.
And that would never happen in the competition. That was an appalling strike, so I'm going to do one more. It's because I haven't got my new toy, you see.
Yeah, that is the trouble. When you get fitted for a new club,
Yeah.
right, you feel like everything that you use is suddenly inferior and useless. Oh,
Slightly better, but it'll do. It'll do.
All I'm looking
In
at
play.
is the club head speed, and I don't think I've got 108 or 110 in me at the moment.
That was better than I thought it was.
That was tasty, right?
Yeah,
that was tasty.
that was definitely
Oh,
better.
don't
But
show
the
me
new
it.
one's going to be easier to swing. See, that's got no spin in it as well. So I'll
Look
take
at that, it's 1800.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure I was prepared for this tonight.
289. Okay, right.
Right, okay. Come on, Stuart. Let's put a bit of Barney magic behind it. Draw.
Oh God, listened as well.
Draw.
God, where do you find a golf ball like that?
Get yourself up there. Get yourself up there.
So
Stop.
the answer to what driver did I go with? TSR3 8 degree and a VA Composite Sinister 65.
Oh, done him.
Oh yeah.
Done him.
No, that's what I said. I didn't hit it that well. So,
Said-
but yeah,
you said-
299.
said you
so
hit that.
Between 290 and 300 for the two of us, without wind.
My spin rate's exactly the same as yours.
Yeah.
Smash factor's not bad at 151.
Yeah, I was like 145. I've got the old unforgiving thing and a rotten strike. So
Excuses.
it's,
Excuses.
So we've now got 30 mile an hour wind into
All I hear is excuses. I'll tell you what we should do is then once we've hit it 30 mile an hour downwind, put it in a crosswind.
Oh,
That'll be fun.
yeah.
That'll be
Right,
fun.
so, yeah, wow, 30 mile an hour, okay.
What do you think?
I think
What
the
do you
stuff at the beginning of the tee would be moving a bit more than that.
So what was your carry? 240 what before?
Cheeky. It's good 274, I believe.
Was it? So we carried it exactly the same.
I know, I know it would have been a bit less than.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd
so
hope- I'd
so
hope
270.
so.
So 270
But
nuts and bolts. 270.
265, 270.
I think yours was 240 something, but let's call it 270. 30.
Right.
So what are you expecting it to carry now?
Not a lot. So if we go on the principle of 2 yards, about 210.
It's nice. It's
Jeepers.
nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change ball flight
Yeah.
or anything with this.
Very flaccid ball flight.
Oh, I've come off it. That's going to go so far right
Oh.
and high and nowhere. Jordan Spieth.
Oh no.
Look at that. That's coming back at me.
Oh no.
That is basically
no.
coming backwards.
Be nice. Well, that reminds me of Andy Coulthard all over again.
209. I hit that quite well as well. 159 ball speed.
I'd like you to have another go, just in case you do it again.
Well, see, that's why I wear these things, so you can find me when I'm in the hay. Red for danger. It's about right as well. Right.
Oh, there
Right,
you
that
go.
was hit.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
That's most of what I've got.
Right.
Fairway hit.
Right. Fairway, beautifully hit.
Oh, jeepers, how short's
Yeah.
that? 222, total 229, 159.6 ball
Decent.
speed.
Right.
And 2,000 spins. That's
Well,
a low spin shot.
I'm going to
I
suggest.
hope he hits a rotter now just to make up for
I
me
reckon
getting a
I'm going to get
shocker.
250 out of this.
Yeah, and Mr. Turtle, I know someone who can help out as well.
What's that?
Sadly, he's no miracle worker. Need
Go
a new
on, Stu.
driver, apparently.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
he's got-
far out
look
the
at that.
toe.
You're
Come
doing
back.
it out of sympathy for me, aren't you?
Come back.
Oh, you towed it.
Come back.
You fluked a draw back into
Come
the
back.
fairway. Jeez.
Come back. Yeah. Well, that's my bad one. That's my bad one. I think
Yeah,
it's
but
still,
you towed it, so you're going to have no spin. It's going to have about 100 revs of spin.
still done you. Pardon? Hmm?
Yeah. I don't mind. Mine's a better quality shot.
Morecambe wise. Morecambe wise. Right. Right, that's it. That's it. Cabin crew, doors to manual and cross check, please.
Better hit?
Yeah.
Laugh if it goes shorter.
The silence. Doesn't run much, does it, into the wind?
No, funny, it's coming down at about 90 degrees. So
237.
Yeah, 237. So you're 62 yards shorter, and I was 60. So the theory pans out.
Yeah.
Mark Griffin, did I gain any distance? 7 yards I gained with the new stick.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's turn it. Let's turn it.
Turning it to downwind.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's
is
do
that-
that.
oh,
Yeah.
it's
Let's do it.
crosswind.
No, turn it downwind. Let's get some fun out of this, and then we can prove the fact that there is only 1 for 1. But I get some.
Well, carry certainly. So.
I get some serious trundle downwind.
Right, go on then. You're on the hockey. Now we're going to clearly get way too overexcited.
I mean,
and send it into
look,
county.
When you think about what people are watching on the TV, they're watching people flight it 300 through the air, and they've got a couple of middle-aged men hitting it at 210.
Yeah, but it's relatable content.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, well, I've teed it up higher to start with. I'm aiming myself down the right wing. I'm going to get myself up on it and hopefully fly those bunkers. Oh, I've hooked the poop out of it. Stay in the air. Stay in the air.
It's worked it with the shape of the fairway.
Go on. Go on.
You should have stayed quiet and everyone would have thought you
Go
meant
on.
it.
I felt like a bit more hook on that.
Still going.
That's not bad, is it? That's not
No.
bad. Come on.
339.
Come on.
40 yards.
But I only carried it 280. I mean, it was.
Good ball, 164.
Yeah.
But that's where maybe the lower spin doesn't
Yeah.
stay up in the air
Yeah,
as much,
yeah.
potentially.
And we got what's that? That's 60 yards on the deck. Be interesting to see what you get on the deck with those trousers on.
Well, I've got to hit the fairway first. Fairway gets narrow the further you hit it, doesn't it?
339 to beat, Mr. Cooper. Best of luck.
It doesn't mean it.
It's now turned into a long hitting session. Oh.
He's quiet now, isn't he?
Oh no, I don't like that. I don't like that. That I don't. Oh, that's TTFN. Right, I'm going again.
I see.
Right, I'm going again.
1-1. There we go.
That's,
But
that's
interesting enough, the other bit will be the carry distance will be interesting. So 2,000 spin, I picked up more because I spin it a bit more.
yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one of Rory's average drives without a 30 mile an hour.
That's me not going to hit a draw down there now. This time I'm just going to hit it dead straight and hard.
Well out.
Come back. Come back.
But what it does show is, so if you've
Down
got
the
a
path.
down
Down the path. Hang on, we didn't say
So it's
anything
just
about
cheat.
fairways.
No,
Didn't
it's
say
still
anything about
shorter.
fairways.
Never mind. 343. But it does show. So you're going. We went from. For yours went let's say 230 to 350, and I was, because mine spins a bit more, slightly more affected. So 220 to 355. So 130 yards difference.
in the two.
And so you look at where Rory hit that, was it 430 yard drive, downwind on that par 5, got himself too close, ironically, probably. But the wind, it is such a big difference. Okay, you don't get 30 mile an hour winds very often, but we're having a bit of fun, a bit of a larking around. But actually, if you've got a 10 mile an hour wind on your course, well, if that bunker that you always used to carry, if that's into, forget about it unless you're 20 yards past it.
So let's let's set up a par 3. Let's go a 160 par 3.
Okay.
Let's turn the wind out the left, and let's talk about playing the wind and holding the wind. Because that would be interesting.
Right.
Because that would be interesting. Because
now you're requiring some
skill.
proper,
Yeah. Because I remember I caddied and worked at the 2004 Open at Troon, and I was on the range with my guy, and next to me was Trevor Immelman, and Butch Harmon was down the other end of the range with Tiger, walks past me, or walks past us. My guy was actually not on the range yet, but walks past me, and Trevor's just here. And Butch goes up to him and says, so what are you working on, Trev? He said, well, and the wind was pumping off the left at Troon on the range, horrible wind. And he said, well, Butch, I'm just working on holding these iron shots up into a left to right wind. And the next phrase out of his mouth nearly made me fall over. He said, can you believe it, Butch? Bear in mind, this is a Masters champion.
Yeah.
He said, I've never held the ball up into a crosswind in my life.
Okay. Or just used it to let it ride it.
Just let it ride it. Yeah. Which you know, at that point, when you think about the development of juniors, the development of the game, and how much we are caught in, this is how the best players in the world do it.
Yeah.
You would have had for all the tea in China that someone like
striker like him as well.
he would have held it up into the wind. And it was like at that point there that as a coach, it was like, don't believe anything. Until you speak to someone on tour, a player, don't believe golf coaches, don't believe videos, don't believe anyone until you go to the horse's mouth, because it was a big moment that you go, crikey, well, because at that time I was just starting to pack up playing and it's like, oh my God. I mean, I not that you go down the range and necessarily work on that, but it's certainly a shot that you would have played, try to hold it up into the wind. And to hear someone as good as that say they don't hold it up to the wind, I just thought it was fascinating at that moment on the range.
I think it brings in a couple of variables. There was a comment by who was it, about brain being fried before they even stand on the tee. It might have just gone through. I'm just going to scroll back up onto it. I think it was a very valid comment. It was Neil Axton saying. Actually, that was that. It was Ian M. Sorry. Tips advice for strong wind off the left or right for right-handed golf, ride the wind or draw it centre.
Oh, there you go.
You know, and Peter Candace saying, what extent do you think playing into wind's a mental thing? Are people's brains fried before they hit it? The answer is yes. I think people just don't know what to do. I think there's you know, it's hard enough to take a shot without wind.
Yes.
Let alone now factoring in, okay, I've reined it down to 15 miles an hour, which is still a hell of a lot of wind.
Yeah, off the left.
But you hear these things about, you know, ride the wind, you know, hold it up against the wind, do this, do that, and there's two very strong theories on it. One is if you can hold it against the wind, the ball's going to land a little bit softer. It takes some of the sting out of it, but you've got to be able to control the amount of shape into that wind. And then you get other players who say, no, just use the wind, just play a stock shot and let the wind do what it's going to do.
And that's easier said than done, because you now go, well, I'm aiming over here then.
Yeah.
So I don't want to unload it fully, because I'm now going to leave it left, playing downwind. And equally, I don't want to leave it.
Yeah.
Now,
miles of that side.
For me, left to right, I always do the opposite to what Trevor does. I always try and hold it and try and push it in, because it always feels like I can make a positive swing.
Yeah.
I might, on a slightly longer shot, swing it in, off the right or off the left, but I think this sort of yardage, I would definitely be an exponent of trying to hold it up.
And it's like, you know, left to right wind for me, I've always been a drawer of a ball. That's a comfortable wind. I can aim just right, play to kind of almost punch it into the wind and draw it into the wind, and I'm comfortable with that. But then if I get a pin on the right with a right to left wind, now I'm much more comfortable with it, but historically I was never comfortable with that. I just aim at the right edge and hope to hold it somewhere in the middle. Hope to not miss it right. So,
let's see.
We've got 163. We've got the 12th hole at Birkdale.
Okay.
So 163,
and
wind off the left, just dead left to right.
So I see this as, 163, so if it's 15 miles an hour off the left, the way I calculate it is that suddenly plays, if it's 15 miles an hour, somewhere in the region of 20 to 25 yards longer, because I'm going to try to take the power away. So I'm fighting the wind, even though it's coming at the side. My ball is still trying to turn into it, even though I'm hitting down the side of it. I'm still trying to turn it into. So what cover have you got?
See, this one I'd kind of go probably for that amount of wind. It'd be a little 5-iron.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Glad you're up first. I mean, what a hideous idea this was. I mean, this was a stupid idea. So 163.
Because I'd quieten the swing down a little bit because
Yeah.
again we don't want it to, you don't want to hit it hard in these. So to play more like a kind of a knockdown swing, that also takes the spin down a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna play to start it slightly left and just hold it a bit, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. That's gone. I've not drawn it enough, I don't think.
Oh,
maybe.
it's
I've hit
doing
it
well
through.
for you. It's doing
I've
well for
mullered
you.
it.
Oh, oh God. That's gone miles.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
hit it
gone-
really well.
You did.
Yeah.
So you did. Have another go. Have another go.
Well, I need a bit less club then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gone a long way.
Yeah.
It's
So
definitely off the
that's
left. The wind.
Dead off the left.
Yeah.
But
Maybe you've
yeah.
just hit it a bit straight with a little bit of hold.
So let's go to a 6.
6 iron.
Let's not change the flight too much. Okay. Now, even a 6, looking at that, it's going to have to be a... Yeah, okay. That's
A bit softer.
going to go right a little.
A little bit right.
It's trying to hold it, but it's... Yeah, that's
a bit
a little
long as
too
well.
much. But it's kind of, it's not let it go. So spin axis on that is 3 degrees left.
Yeah.
So it's
Fairly
trying to
neutral.
fight it a little bit.
Fairly neutral. Well,
Just hit it too well. I think it's completely dead off the left. So it's one of those, once it starts to go, it's
yeah.
going. So
Yeah. So I'm going to aim at the right edge of the green. I'm going with my little 4 iron shot that I was playing earlier. Try and get it a little bit of a hood on the way back. Dead arm it through the shot, and hopefully she'll turn back in. I'm just going to grip down it a little bit. As soon as you've just airmailed it with that 5 iron, I haven't got any other clubs down here. Oh, that's a bit left, maybe. Yeah, a bit too much club.
yeah, stung through. I can move. Let me move the tee back a little bit.
No. Let me. I'm
you're
going to hit
gonna-
that a little bit softer. I'm going to hit that a little bit
Oh,
softer.
is that a 5 iron?
Yeah, it's a 5 iron. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
the
only
6.
3-3 on spin though. That one.
Yeah, which is kind of what I would. What's
you-
the spin axis? Yeah, so 17 degrees left. So it was
Yeah.
definitely drawing. Just need to hit it a bit softer. Nope.
Has he got the toe
Nope.
coming in enough? Nice quiet swing.
I'm going to have one more go.
But I think what it does show is when you get the crosswinds of how you know,
difficult
you get start
they are.
line,
Oh.
holding a shape.
Yeah,
You know, it's blooming hard.
yeah. That might be nice.
Yeah. So actually, what
Yeah.
I'm interested because that held its line pretty much straight on.
Yeah,
How much
just
spin
too much
axis?
club.
So
Yeah, just
10
too much club.
degrees for a 15.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. Ordinary. Take the wind out. That's over that mound on the left.
Yeah.
So
It
Yeah,
is. It
tough
is.
shots.
Yeah, they're difficult shots, and
yeah.
and you only get experience of playing those is by either going on the range and
Yeah.
having a left to right breeze.
Yeah.
But what it does to your golf swing can be sometimes catastrophic, kind of.
And that's actually the one bit that we haven't got here. That actually, when you're stood there and there's a wind basically doing.
Yeah, that's
every
right.
time.
Yeah.
You're standing
Yeah,
trying to hold,
yeah.
hold your posture, keep control of the swing. We've got no wind. We're just using. There's just
Data.
That was actually like downwind with the driver. You can get pushed in front of it and knock it miles right.
Yeah.
So actually, kind of staying grounded and getting. I think the key thing is stay stable and make solid contact. Those are the two most important in my opinion.
No.
I think they're the two most important bits in wind.
If you're not taking, I think as soon as you take too much club, it makes you feel like you're playing chip shots, and the minute you're doing that in high wind, it's only going to be a positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
The minute you feel like you're having to stretch something out, even downwind, if you're trying to stretch a club out, spin rates can, with high wind, it's like putting the ball on acid, and it really tries to
Yeah.
amplify the error that you've made, and I think that's a tricky one to play. Niels, we're probably going to have to leave that for next time because we have run out of time. We like to. So again, go get the puppy. We have a new addition to the PG family.
By far the cutest one. So hopefully we didn't make complete fools of ourselves with the wind. But
Come on.
I think hopefully it'll be nice high winds at the Open this week, and we'll get to see some of those shots. Oh, look, here we go.
So this is Barney. He's a Cocker Spaniel. He's 12 weeks old, and he's the new love of me and my wife's life. We're training him with a chap online, Hampshire Cocker Spaniel training, and we've had him 3 weeks, and he's doing super well.
We were all hoping Barney would be in sooner than now, but unfortunately, I say unfortunately, I mean...
He's been going through some hardcore crate training, crate training, but he's doing super well. Well, on that note, I think it's been a great... It's been a great
lucky to
show.
leave with your ear.
Yeah, it's been a great 1 hour show from us. Who's your tip for the Open this week?
Tough one. Yeah, I'm going to go with kind of heart rather than maybe head. Fleetwood.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to go with Shane Lowry. I think he's going to do it again.
He was hot in one of the rounds. He was up to that grouping of Lowry, Scheffler, and I can't remember who the other. Scheffler was the worst at 5 under. Hovland, there were 2 of them at 7 under.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's going to be a fantastic Open Championship at Hoylake. I think with the weather it's been a bit wet. Hopefully we can get some good wind. The golf course is going to be playing nice and soft, but hopefully you'll get a little bit of fire in the belly as well. Yeah. If you've enjoyed tonight, do hit the like, share and subscribe. And Simon and I will be back next Monday. Barney might make an appearance too. Enjoy the Open. Thanks for all of your
great week watching,
contributions, and we look forward to seeing you all next time.